We're keeping a close eye on Syria today. There are reports from there of deadly Russian airstrikes, sparking new fears of an impending humanitarian disaster in the country's last rebel stronghold. For the latest, let's turn to Rebecca Collard in Beirut. Rebecca, Russia, of course, an ally of the Assad regime. What more, though, do we know about today's air assault?
Well, activists I've been speaking to inside are describing numerous airstrikes across Idlib province and also in neighboring Hama province. They've sent videos of the aftermath of this White Helmets group pulling bodies and injured people out of the rubble. Now, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, that's a British-based monitoring organization, these warplanes have carried out more than 65 strikes across Idlib and neighboring Hama province since yesterday. So really an uptick in the number of strikes being carried out against these rebel positions, John. And now, of course, what's interesting is this follows these talks in Tehran. There was a meeting yesterday between Iran, Russia, and Turkey. Of course, Turkey supports many of the rebel groups, many of these opposition groups in Idlib, and of course, Russia and Iran being close allies of the Syrian government. Now, despite the calls from Turkey for a ceasefire to be reached, there was no ceasefire agreement reached in Tehran yesterday. And then after that, what we've seen is this uptick in the number of airstrikes, John.
While all this unfolds, what is the West doing to try to stop more bloodshed in Syria, Rebecca?
You know, John, that's an excellent question. Why don't we start off by listening to a clip from Nikki Haley, the U.S.'s ambassador to the United Nations.
The Assad regime and its enablers, Russia and Iran, have a playbook for this war. First, they surround a civilian area. Next, they make the preposterous claim that everyone in the area is a terrorist. So every man, woman, and child becomes a target.
So, John, what we have heard is these strong warnings, of course, from Nikki Haley, from other Western countries, and of course, via Twitter from U.S. President Donald Trump, warning Syria and its allies against attacking Idlib province. But, you know, just looking at the talks yesterday, who was at the table when they were discussing the fate of Idlib? The U.S., of course, was noticeably absent, and it's really difficult to know exactly what the U.S. would do. It doesn't seem that there's any appetite on the part of the current U.S. administration for any sort of military confrontation with Russia and Syria over Idlib. So I think what we've seen and what we will continue to see is these strong warnings, these concerns about a humanitarian disaster for 3 million civilians that are estimated to be in that rebel-held province, John. But I don't know if we're going to see any military action on the part of the U.S. or any other Western states.